back to you with another session. In this session, we are going to be focused on finding deals. Now, in an upcoming session, I'm going to be talking about marketing, and so I'm not going to talk as much about marketing right now, but if you see here, I say finding deals. I mean, I'm talking capital deals here. The important part of this is having something that is actually a deal. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Deals are the lifeblood of your business. Without deals, nobody works. I just talked to you about all the different ways that you can make money in real estate and how it requires a team. But without a deal, no one makes anything. There's nothing for anybody to be made unless there's a deal that's on the table. And those who are focused more on the real estate investing side really need to have something that makes sense. It's very easy to buy houses. Anybody can buy a house. You can go out and you can buy as many houses as you want to buy today. You can put 100 houses under contract today. Bad deals happen every day. I'm not talking about bad deals. What we're going to be focused on here are good deals. And good deals are the lifeblood of every successful real estate investor's business. So we're going to touch upon some of those things. Good deals are deals that'll be profitable. There's a lot of people who can sit here and buy houses and they feel like they're buying them under market, but that does not mean that they're going to be profitable. I want to just really try to get you focused on, I need to buy houses that make my business profitable. I'm cheap. You know, a lot of people sit there and they know it. I've been called a cheap real estate investor for years. Many people have even criticized me because of how much it is that I pay for houses. I really focus on getting great deals, and I'm willing to walk away if I don't get the deal that I want. Now, I want you to understand this. That one strategy, that willing to walk away if I don't get the deal that I want, has gotten me great deals because I was willing to walk away. If I listen to all of the naysayers and just pay more just because, you know, the person said they're not going to sell it for less, I would not have had the success that I have today. In fact, the people who criticize me, they don't have the success that I have because they are more interested in not having somebody call them cheap, or they're not interested in negotiating further with somebody, thinking that when somebody says that's the lowest that I will go, that they mean that. I came to learn that when sellers tell me it's the lowest that they will go, they don't always mean that. And the only way that I can find out is to walk away from the deal and say, well, it's more than I can pay. I'm sorry. I wish I could help. And then that's when they say, well, okay, I can take less. But if I believe them when they say that's the lowest that I will go, and then I just go ahead and sign it up, I didn't get the best deal that I could get. So good deals are profitable deals. And I want to just make a quick comment on this because we're also going to talk more about negotiating and things like that. But what is extremely important to me, you know, there's this whole thing that's out there about win-win. We need to have win-win situations. And, you know, when I walk in to negotiate anything, the first thing that I need to know is, what is a win for Steve? A win for Steve isn't that we walk into this room and we start negotiating, we meet in the middle. That's not win-win. Oftentimes, that could be win-lose. They got me to come up from the number that I should have been, and I actually just lost. Instead, win-win to me is knowing exactly where I need to be and helping the seller to get there. When the seller can get there and meet me at my price, then it's win-win. But if I have to come on up or meet in the middle for the sake of getting something done, I may have just paid too much. That's not win-win. Win-win is us both getting what it is that we want. For me, it's getting the number that I want. For the seller, it's typically getting rid of this property so they don't have to deal it anymore. It's not always about the money. And if I think that win-win is coming to the right price with money and meeting them in the middle, I'm going to lose more often than I win. And I want to tell you right now, this is a fatal flaw for a lot of real estate investors where they're doing that all the time. Every once in a while I do that. Every once in a while I'll pay a little bit more, but I can't make that a regular practice. So one of the things that I commonly will tell a seller is, hey, listen, I would love to buy your house. However, if I give you what you're asking for your home, I'm going to be out of business. I like to stay in business. My business needs to make money, and in order for me to be profitable, here's what I need to buy it at. If that works for you, great. If it doesn't, I wish you the best, and I'm ready to move on. So I'm going to talk more about negotiating in another session, but keep that in mind. Good deals are profitable deals. Now, without any opportunities, we don't have profits. So finding deals, again, is the lifeblood of a business. If you're not doing deals, you don't have transactions going on, there's no profits to be made. And this is going to happen for anybody. No matter which part of the team that you're on, if you're a contractor who's dependent upon a rehabber to buy another house, if he doesn't purchase or she doesn't purchase another home for you to rehab, you're not going to have the business either. The title company isn't going to get the business if you're not bringing it into them. Sure, they have many other clients, but their business is going to decline when you don't do your part, but they profit when you do deals. The lenders profit when you do deals. The contractors profit when you do deals. The real estate agents profit when you do deals. So deals are the lifeblood not only for your business, but for your whole team. Everyone on your team is going to be more successful as a result of your doing deals. So no opportunities is no profits, not only for you, but for everyone on your team. Here is one thing that I want all of you to really pay close attention to, is I want you to be focused on income generating activities. All too often, I see newer investors going out there and focusing on business building activities, designing their logos, designing their website, coming up with business cards or making sure the design of that is right, passing out things and just doing things that don't make money. None of that makes you money. It makes you look good, but it doesn't make you money. What you need to be focused on are income generating activities. Income generating activities are making offers. Let's face it, in this business, if you're not making offers, you're not making money. You need to be out there making offers. It is absolutely critical to your success in being able to make money. You must make them. Now, I would make a lot of offers. I make tons of offers, and I'm going to touch upon that here a little bit, but deals are created. I don't just sit there and somebody waiting for that, the $200,000 house that I can buy for $50,000 to have somebody say, hey, I got a $200,000 house, you can have it for $50,000. It just doesn't happen that way. More often than not, that $200,000 house that needs a lot of work, they're asking $130,000 or $140,000 for it, and the only reason I ever get it for $50,000 is because I offered $50,000. It doesn't just go from where the person is asking $50,000. In fact, more often than not, and we're going to talk about some of this mindset and stuff like this in another session, but I just want to make this point here. If somebody has a $200,000 house and they put it out there at $50,000, more often than not, you will not get that house because everybody and their mother is going to go running after that house. There's going to be a bidding war, and it's going to get bid up, and you're never going to get a good deal on it. Instead, your best chances at a good deal is when they are asking too much for it because it chases everybody else away. And then you come on in and you negotiate the right price, and that is where you're going to get your deal. The majority of the deals that I have done, I created the deal with the offers that I made. Yes, I did get some that were just dirt cheap right out of the gate. There's no question about it. I had to move quickly. I had to get those things tied up, and I got some fantastic deals that way. But most of the time, my deals are created. They don't just fall into your lap being a good deal. You have to make the offer that creates the good deal. So I want to just encourage all of you, start to think that way. You're not just going to go to your real estate agent and say, find me a good deal. You've got to create it. You're not just going to open up a classified or a Craigslist and see something that's priced right. Every once in a while you will, but if it is priced right, you're going to have a lot of competition. Where you make money is when you create the deal by offering the right price and negotiating with the seller and getting them to take it. This is an extremely important thing for you to be able to grasp. I'm going to teach you a lot about negotiating in one of the other sessions, but don't lose sight of this. Deals are created. If they are priced right out of the gate, chances are those are not the ones you're going to get because you're going to have tons of competition for those deals. Everybody wants the easy one. You're going to have to work for some of your best deals, and sometimes they are your best deals because everybody else has been chased away. So again, no offers, no deals. You have to make offers. One of the things that I was known for was just making a ton of offers. I would make somewhere an average of 30 to 40 offers a week, every single week. that's how many offers I would make. I didn't just buy houses because I sat back and waited for them to fall in my lap. I actually had to go out there and do something, making a lot of offers, 30 to 40 offers a week. Light weeks may have been about 15 to 20. Heavy weeks maybe upwards of around 50 or so, but somewhere in that range constantly. And that was generating about one house per week. I want you to keep this in mind. Most of those people said no. It can get pretty weary when you make 30 offers and 29 people tell you no. I didn't focus on those 29. The only thing I was looking for was the one that said yes. If you get focused on all the people who are saying no to you, you'll get discouraged. I didn't worry about the people who said no. I made all of those offers just looking and searching for the yes. Again, I'm going to go into a lot more detail with the whole strategy behind that and how to do it the right way. But keep this in mind. You have to make offers, and you need to make a lot of them. Nobody gets 100% of their offers accepted. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that even with a lot of due diligence and a lot of strategy and everything up front, most people aren't even going to get 50% or 30% of their offers accepted. The more competition that you're dealing with, the less your percentage is going to be. So the key is to making a lot of offers. If you're somebody who is making one offer a week, the chances of you getting as much as I would is probably going to be slim and close to none. You might have to make one offer a week for a whole year just to make what I would make in 1 week. And if you're offering on the one wrong property every week, you might not get anything. The key is making a lot of offers. So making a lot of offers. Now, I got to tell you this. I just got another idea that I want to go ahead and write down to make sure I cover it in another session. And I want to make sure that I am as thorough as I can be in teaching you these things. All right, so my mistakes when I first got started was this. I stayed in my comfort zone. See, I was living in a middle-class neighborhood, and for the most part, you know, whether it was a lower middle class or middle-class neighborhood, it's where I grew up most of my life. I was staying in my comfort zone. And so as I'm looking for properties, I was looking in all of the wrong places. I was looking right around where I lived, and I was also looking for houses. That was a problem. It wasn't houses, and I discovered that after finding my first deal, that it wasn't houses that I was looking for. I wanted motivated sellers. I needed to have somebody who had a need to sell a house, not somebody who was thinking about selling their house, because the person who's thinking about selling their house wants to get as much as what they can get for it. They don't have a need to sell it. Motivated sellers need to sell their houses. And this is what I finally discovered after months and months and months of looking at houses. When I looked at houses, I wasn't able to buy anything. The moment I understood what a motivated seller was, I was able to start picking up some houses. So I also had a fear of making offers when I first got started. I was doing a lot of looking, but I wasn't doing any buying because I didn't make offers. For the first 6 or so months, I looked at tons and tons of houses, but I never made one offer. You don't become a real estate investor by not making offers. I get the fear. I understand it. And hopefully, as I go through some of this, I'm going to help to make some of that fear go away. You know, some of the fears that I experienced was, well, how am I going to get the money if they say yes? Or I've never bought a house before. What am I supposed to do if I do get it? I had all these fears. I was really, really scared of that myself. But I'm going to throw this one thing out there for you. If you buy, let's just say this, a $100,000 house, and you're able to buy it for $10,000, you probably wouldn't hesitate to buy it. Your fear is because you don't know if it's a deal or not. But if you could buy a $100,000 house for $10,000, you would go sign on the dotted line very, very quickly because you know deep down inside it is a deal. And that is the key. When you are dealing with deals, the fear goes away and you're able to start doing this. And I'm going to be teaching you a lot more in that regard. So I shared with you the story of my first deal and meeting the real estate agent out there, and you know how I was sort of disgusted with this house. Here's a few things that I learned about that deal. First of all, I learned what a fixer-upper was. Now, I was appalled by this house. I was appalled by the smell. There was no carpet. The walls were different colors, holes in the walls, cabinet doors falling off. I had never seen anything like that before because my mother, for the most part, kept a pretty clean house. She took care of everything, and I had never seen anything quite like that. To me, I got to tell you, honestly, walking into that situation, and it took me a little while after the fact, I believed that a fixer-upper was something that needed paint and had dirty carpets because I had never lived in a house that really needed that even. And so I didn't know what a fixer-upper was when I first got started. I got to tell you, I walked into that first house and I thought that this house needed to be torn down. Again, that was ignorance on my part. I really didn't know what a real fixer-upper was. My friend did not come through with the money. If you recall, I said my friend told me not to sell that house. He would put the money up. I'm going to share with you a few other lessons here, but I ended up rehabbing that house, and it cost me $7,000 to fix that house up. The house was actually in really good shape, but I didn't understand that when I first walked in the door because I didn't know and had never dealt with anything like that before. So a fixer-upper was something that I learned about in that transaction. Another thing that I learned is what is a motivated seller. I finally learned what a motivated seller was. Right about that same time, I was dealing with another motivated seller where a lady was crying, begging me to take this house off of her hands. She had an appraisal for her house for $91,000, was telling me she owed $27,000, and she would sell me her house for $27,000. Now, putting all of that aside, deep down in her heart, she believed her house was $91,000. She had a mortgage for $27,000, was willing to let me have that house for $27,000. It wasn't a deal. The numbers were far off, but she was begging me to take this house. I learned what a motivated seller was. She did not want the house and wanted me to take it. And I also learned, based off of this fixer-upper, that the bank did not want this house. I learned what a motivated seller was. Motivated sellers are the key to getting and finding deals. You need to have a motivated seller, somebody who doesn't want the real estate. They need to sell the real estate. It's not that they want to. It's not that they're thinking about it. There is a real need there, and we'll talk a bit about that. But the other thing that I learned with that deal was that money was the easiest part of the business. The easiest part. I walked into this game of real estate investing thinking that money was the hardest part of the business. In that transaction, the first thing I did was I had a guy who wanted to buy that house from me immediately. I could have made $2,000 within a day. I tied that house up for $38,000. He wanted to give me $40,000. My friend said, no, I will put the money up. I will do it. Now, I told you, my friend did not come through. And throughout this process, I had asked for about 90 days to settle on that property. And while I was working with the other investor, finding him deals, I started paying close attention. I started learning where he was getting his money from. And I had discovered who one of the people was. I got the person's phone number. And when my friend didn't come through, I called up this other investor. I called him up the day before settlement. I'm going to share more of that story with you later, but he gave me the money and had no reason to give it to me. You're going to really love the story when I share it with you later, but the bottom line is this. As I approached that and I got into that part of the business, I realized that not only did somebody want to buy this house from me, I had somebody willing to partner with me, and I had somebody else put the money up. I was a broke guy with bad credit, no experience, and money was coming at me from all over the place. And the reason why? Because I found a deal. The numbers made sense. And so a lot of people wanted to participate in that deal. Money was coming from all different ways. I didn't quite understand that until this deal happened, and my confidence level went through the roof. I realized that money was easy when the deal made sense. So we're going to talk more about that a little bit. So my specialty became fixer-uppers. This is one of the things that I had learned in this process. You know, I didn't know what a fixer-upper was. And after going through this and getting that first one, I started realizing, okay, some houses just really are in bad shape. They need a lot of work. And, you know, the picture of this house here, I'll never forget this one. This was a house that I was willing to pay $40-something thousand for. I ended up getting it for $21,000. I ended up rehabbing this house and sold it for 140 or something like that. But this was a house that I had bought for 21,000. Here's a house where the kitchen is just absolutely trash. Now, first seeing this is something that would just very appalling to me. I mean, I never ever experienced anything like that before in my life, and something like this would be a house that I would run from. And how about a bathroom like this? You know, a bathroom like that is disgusting. And, you know, believe me when I tell you, I didn't want to stay in there, but I actually got excited when I started seeing this in houses because I knew nobody else wanted it. I knew the seller didn't want it. The seller wanted to get rid of this house. So put yourself in their shoes for a moment. If you are the owner of that house, do you want it? No, you wouldn't want it. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have to go in and deal with that. Even a landlord who wants houses, if they walk in after getting a tenant out and that's what they have, they might not want that house anymore. I know, I've been there. So these are fixer-uppers. I got to learn this lesson by, you know, dealing with my first fixer-uppers. This kitchen right here looks terrible. The thing about it is this: it costs the same amount to replace this kitchen as if the kitchen was in good shape. I replace all of my kitchens in my rehabs. So whether it's in this condition or in relatively good shape, it's going to cost me the same amount to tear this out and to put in new. So this is something that a lot of people just don't get. You see something like this. In fact, my preference would be to walk in and see the kitchen already gutted and nothing being there, because then I don't have the expense of taking it out. So I would much rather walk into a house and have it completely gutted than me have to take this out, because it costs money. It's time and money to tear this stuff out and haul it away. So I want to ask you this question. Have you ever been motivated? Have you ever paid somebody to come pick up trash or haul something away? Or did you ever have a junk car that you had to get rid of? I want you to just put yourselves into the shoes of somebody who's done that. Many people have, and every day there are people who are calling up the guy who buys junk cars. Gentleman will come with his tow truck, give you a couple $100s for your junk car, and they'll haul it away. Sometimes they might even have you pay them to take the car away. I know my dad used to get paid to take people's cars. People used to pay him 50, 60 bucks to haul their cars away. I want you to just put yourself into the shoes of that person for just one moment. The day that they bought that car, do you think that they ever imagined that there would be a day that they would pay somebody to take it away from them? Or how about a couch? Maybe you've bought a couch and now you've got a new one. You need to get rid of the old one. You're paying somebody to come haul the couch away. The day you bought that couch, you could not have imagined paying somebody to come and take that couch away from you, because you were not motivated. But now that it was time to get rid of it, you became motivated. We're talking about smaller things when I talk about a couch or I'm talking about a car, but the same thing goes true for houses. There are times when somebody just has a house and it is creating a nightmare for them. They don't want it for whatever reason. And there's many different reasons why people could be motivated, but they will pay in some cases to even get rid of the house. So a motivated seller is somebody who needs to sell a house. A seller that wants to sell, they need to have something that backs that up with a need. And the kinds of needs that we're looking for when we're trying to find deals are all kinds of things. Anything from relational problems, maybe like divorce, or health problems, where they need to generate money to pay for medical bills, or maybe just it's too much for them to take care of and the house is too much. They need something smaller and they need something simpler. Or financial problems. Certain emergencies can come into their lives and maybe they have to move quickly or whatever it is. There could be family disputes. You know, oftentimes with the states, siblings are fighting over a house and they're not agreeing on what needs to be done, and they just finally just say, forget it, let's get rid of it. Death can cause, you know, a need to sell. There's so many different reasons that people would decide to sell. There are many different types of motivated sellers. Banks are motivated sellers. HUD is a motivated seller. I bring those two up first because that is where I have gotten the majority of my deals from throughout the years. I have bought many of my houses from the banks and from HUD. And I'm going to make a comment on that real quickly. One of the reasons why I have dwelled in those two areas is because of my personality. While I'm standing here in front of the camera and I'm teaching you and, you know, teaching you all that I know, I really don't like interacting too much with people. I'm pretty darn good at sitting at a kitchen table and negotiating a deal with somebody, but it's not my preference. I don't like to do that. And dealing with banks and dealing with HUD was a lot less emotional. And I didn't have to deal with the emotional aspect of buying a house and dealing with private sellers. Instead, it was very unemotional. I mean, I just throw out offers. They're an institution. No one really cares about, what's going on. And there's very little emotion involved. And so I really revolved my business around that. This is going back to the where do you get started? That was the ideal place for me to get started. It was also easy. It was free. It was readily available. I didn't have to do a lot of marketing or spend money to get in front of them. They were putting stuff out there to get in front of me. So that made it easy. But some of the other things, my favorite thing throughout the years, where some of my best deals have come from, are estate sales. Oftentimes there's now somebody who has passed away. It's usually a house that may be dated, but it's in pretty good shape. And the family just needs to get rid of it. It has now become a burden to the heirs, and they want to get it off their platter. They don't want to make mortgage payments. They don't want to have to pay the taxes. They don't want to go there and cut the grass and take care of all of that. In fact, getting it sold puts some money in their pocket. And so the heirs want to sell it. They're willing to sell it quickly, and usually have a lot of room in them because their parents lived there for many years. They don't owe much on the house. They might even own it free and clear. So it's something that is just all cash in their pocket, and they want to get it sold. It's been one of my favorite types of deals. Tired landlords are people who are upside down in their mortgages, and you need to negotiate a short sale. They need to sell their house. They need to get out of their house, but they can't sell it because they just owe too much. And so you got to go to the bank and get them to negotiate the mortgage down. Foreclosures. Again, most of those are going to end up at the bank, but sometimes they're going to be at auctions where, a sheriff sale or something like that. One of the things that I do like about sheriff sales and auctions is that there's always deals there. There's always going to be some, but they don't always mean it's going to be a deal. In my entire career, I have bought 2 properties at auction. And I have always hesitated to go to auctions because early in my investing career, I had a guy who said, I don't know why they called them the winner at an auction. They're actually the loser. They just happen to be the person who's willing to pay more than everybody else. That doesn't make them the winner. And there's some truth to that. And so an auction where there's a lot of people participating at the auction, I shared with you the house that I bought for $21,000. I was willing to pay 40 something. That was an auction. I was the only person there. And so that worked out really well for me. And so if you can get to auctions where there's not a lot of people there to bid, that's where you're going to get your really good deals. The only way you'll know is to show up. Divorce is another source for motivated sellers. Delinquent taxes, again, many other things. Out-of-state owners, they don't know what's going on with their property. You can have code violations or houses that have burned down. Many different types of motivated sellers. The bottom line is it's people who have property or real estate that they just don't need or can't do anything with it. And it's becoming more of a burden on them than it is a blessing to them. And once it starts to become a burden, they want to get rid of that property. And these are the ideal people for you to be dealing with. I'm going to throw out one other thing because I want everybody to clearly understand this. Of all of the deals that I have done, I'm right around 600 deals that I have done today. I can count on one hand every house that was occupied when I purchased them. For me, vacant is a very big motivating factor. A vacant house isn't producing anything. It's only costing people money. And so that is sort of my MO. Doesn't mean it has to be yours, but vacant houses have treated me really good. So I started out with finding deals. I was out hitting the streets, digging them up, and just looking for deals, trying to find that next one. And my first 8 months in the business, it took me that long before I finally got that aha moment, and I understood what a motivated seller was. So I started out really looking for houses, then I switched toward looking for motivated sellers, and that is when I started getting deals. And I want to encourage all of you that that's where you need to be. If you feel like you're struggling, you're probably looking at houses. Once you start focusing in on looking for motivated sellers, everything is going to change for you. It's motivated sellers where you're able to create deals. So I ended up becoming the most important person in the transaction. I shared with you in the last session about the whole team. because I was the guy who could find deals, everyone around me, my whole team needed me. I was the key person in there. Again, none of those people had opportunity without me bringing a deal to the table. That went for the money guys, that went for the construction guys, the real estate agents, the title companies. The whole team was dependent upon me finding a deal. And so not only were they referring people to me and pointing things to me, but I became the most important part of the transactions. I was the one who brought the one thing to the table that brought the whole team together and created those profitable opportunities. So becoming good at finding deals is extremely important. No one on the team had to work without me producing. And if you can put yourself into that position, I believe that the person who can find the deal is always going to be the most important person in all of these transactions. So I want to encourage you, get on out there, start doing the income generating activities, and that is making offers. You're never going to get deals without being out there making offers. You might have to make a lot of them, and the more offers that you make, the more deals you're going to pick up. Also, don't forget that you create the deal. Most of the time, most every house that I ever bought, they were not asking what I needed to pay for that. If I just listened to their first list price or their asking price, I would have walked away from just about everything. But I didn't walk away. Instead, I started the negotiations, trying to get them to where I needed for them to be. I created my deals. And more often than not, my best deals were when they were asking way too much, because no one else was paying attention to those. The best deals were the ones that I created by offering a lot less or negotiating them down quite a bit to get to the number that I needed to be at. I will share with you in another session how to come up with those numbers, but for right now, I just want you to have the mindset that I need to be a person who can find deals. Going back, and I want to just qualify this, if you decide you want to be the rehab or something like that and you want somebody else to find the deals for you, that is perfectly fine. If you've got a job and you just want 2 or 3, you want to find the person who can find the deals. You need one of these people in your life who can find the deals and bring them to you so that you have things to do. Again, this is Steve Cook with Lifeonaire ending this session. Please join me again on one of the next ones.